Hey, Happy New Year. Welcome to the first episode of 2021 of the Naughty Marketer podcast. Once again, welcome. I hope that you all have had a great holidays and that you have received a great 2021. So this year we are going to do some changes with the podcast. What we are going to do is that we are going to launch a new theories on how to create your own marketing strategy from scratch. So that would be every other week. On the opposite weeks, we are going to have the regular show with the news and some comments and thoughts on my end. So this is going to be the first one for this theme series on marketing strategy. We are going to launch 5 different episodes. On the first one, we are going to try to understand the marketplace and what needs then we need to cover from the customers. So without any further ado, let's begin with this first episode. So, whenever we think about a marketing strategy, it's super important to know that we have to start with understanding the market we are going to target and the customer needs that we need to cover. So, the first thing that you have to do is always to do some benchmarking on your competitors and the customers. What are your customers already purchasing from your competitors and how your competitors are dealing or not with the needs and the wants from your customers or potential customers for that matter. So we need to just for disclosure define a few things. So in marketing, you will have needs, wants, demands, and market offerings from the competitors, from companies. Okay, so what are the needs? The needs are those things that the customer feel deprived from. So a basic need could be food, water, or you name it. So if you have, let's use a few examples for this. So if you have a basic need like food, for that matter, you can cover that need with different options. Okay, so you can go to the local supermarket and purchase an apple, and that would satisfy that need. Okay, but then you have some wants. The wants are how the human needs take shape depending on the culture or the culture from where they come from or individual personality. Okay, so this is what makes things interesting, because sometimes when you are hungry, you're not going to be satisfied if you eat anything from the fridge. Maybe you're craving for something in particular. I don't know, it could be a burger, it can be a pasta, it could be whatever you want, a sandwich, whatever. So the one, it's something that will after that create a demand from the customer side. Okay, so there is going to be a demand for burgers, for salads, for pizza, whatever. Okay, just to cover that same basic need, being food. Okay, so this is something that in popular culture it's believed to for us marketers that we create needs, and I believe that this is not the case. What we do is that we create the wants. The needs are already there. So even if you think about, I don't know, you may say, okay, Apple created the need for having a tablet. No, what does an iPad do is just to help us to keep connected, to do things, to complete and to achieve our work. And that basic need was transformed into a want for this case, by companies like Apple. So what we do in marketing is not create needs. What we do is that we make from those needs something else, so something that adds more value, that makes it a want. So moving forward, we have the market offering. After you have a demand, obviously you're going to have a marketplace for exchange. So you will have on one end, you will have the customers. On the other hand, you will have the providers, being, I don't know, companies, brands, you name it. So that makes a robust and healthy market. So when you do benchmarking, you have to look at several different things. You have to look at the state of the customer base. How mature is your product or service in that customer base? You have to also benchmark the state of the competition. Is there few or more competitors? Especially even if you are going into and enter a new market, you have to be very careful about this. But if you are already on your local market, what you have to do is to take a look to both sides of the road to see how things are going for other companies that sells the same solutions like you. And even when it's not the same solution, if you think about, okay, maybe depending on the cultural background of different countries or different regions in the world, a McDonald's can be a competitor of a movie theater. Because if for some reason in some culture, going and having lunch or dinner at a McDonald's is a way of doing or entertaining the family outside of home, probably it's going to be competing in the same place, in the same spot as a movie theater for that matter. So the second thing that you have to do after this is to leverage and manage that data that you're going to be gathering from benchmarking and doing some research on your market, competitions, and customers. So what you have to do is to take some insights from that information that can help you to identify opportunities for your company or your product or your service that can add up more value towards the customer. And obviously, another thing that you have to do, and that would be the third one, you have to estimate the market size of your business, because that can help you to understand how big your options are. I mean, when you want to escalate, or to understand and know that your market is going to be something rather small, and that you will have to think about other options and going after new business lines or product lines to expand your business. So how do you calculate or estimate your market size? Well, what you have to do, you have like this simple formula where you have three main variables. Let's call them M, P, and N. So you have M, the variable M will be the market size, the addressable market that you can attain. So let's use an example. So let's imagine that we are going to sell flowers, and we are going to sell flowers in Europe, in the whole European Union. So what we have is probably we're going to start from the total amount of European population. Okay, so let's round it up at 400 million. So we have 400 million people living in the expanded European Union. It's not feasible for us to sell flowers to all of them, because not everybody is going to be in the market for purchasing flowers, right? So what we do is that we filter that initial number, and then we create that variable M. So after that, we will have a rather huge or large number, but that is going to be filtered by, that filtering could be brought by age, purchasing preferences, gender, or you name it. Okay, it depends on your product. So as flowers is something that both men and women purchase, let's say that they get purchased only by people from 15 years old and up. Okay, so that I'm just making these numbers up. Let's think that this narrow the number to 120 millions. Okay, so 120 million would be the first number that we will add to that basic formula. After that, we have the variable P, which is price. So what is the average price of my product? So let's imagine that our product average cost is going to be 10. We can have some product that costs 20, some other that cost 5 euros. But let's say that we have an average price of the product, which is 10. Obviously, doesn't have to do. This is not that basic average calculation. You have to take into consideration the weight of each of your product lines on your product portfolio. But let's just think about this. And then finally, it's the variable N, which is the number of purchases per year each customer will make for your product. So let's say that people usually purchase twice a year for your product. So you will have the way to calculate or estimate your product, your market size would be to multiply 120 million by the number, the price of your product, which is 10, and by the number of time or the frequency of purchase of your product, which is 2. And that way we can have a final number for the market size. In this case is 2.4 billion euros a year, and this is going to be the market size. After that, you are going to see and you're going to understand how huge or how small are you of a market are you dealing with. And this is super important because it can help you to plan and to create your business plan towards an escalation. And if you want to after that keep growing and moving forward into other countries, you're going to have the numbers that back you up for going after new markets. Okay, so after that, what you have to do is just to think about what is the ideal market share that you will want to aim to gain from that market. Okay, and I'm not going to cover that because it depends on many different things. It can depend on budget. It can depend on resources. It can also be a decision of business of your business model. Sometimes the restraints are not on the resources, economic resources, but on the raw materials that you may have or the production capacity that you may have, especially if you are more into the local handmade product side of business. It's going to be more difficult for you to escalate. So nevertheless, this is always the starting point. So what we have covered 3 main points into the understanding of the marketplace and the customer needs. So we need to, first of all, benchmark the customers and competition, understand what the needs, wants, desires, and the demands are. Also manage and leverage that information to get insights that can help us to add more value into our value proposition, into our product offering or service offering. And after that, estimate the market size. The market size that is going to help us to understand how huge and how many opportunities that we may have in that market. And after that, help us to choose and aim into gaining one size or one slice of the cake. So this is the first episode of this theme and series. On the next one, we're going to talk about how to design a customer-driven marketing strategy. So remember, these episodes are going to be launched every other week. So next week, what we are going to have is just the latest news and trends in marketing, business, and tech, which is something. I mean, it has been pretty rough in the first days of 2021. Nevertheless, I wish you all the best. May the 2021 be the best year yet. And see you in the next episode. Lempi out.